Have you ever caught yourself saying things like, "I'm so stupid," or "Why does this always happen to me?" almost without thinking? Maybe it slips out after a small mistake. Maybe it plays silently in your head after a bad day. Feels harmless, just a way to blow off steam. But what if every one of those throwaway comments wasn't harmless at all? What if, without realizing, you've been programming your own life one sentence at a time? In today's video, we're diving deep into how the words you use, especially the ones you say to yourself, quietly shape your reality, your emotions, even your future. And more importantly, I'll show you how to flip the script, step by step. Stick around until the end, because I've put together a simple, practical exercise you can start using today to rewire those inner conversations. No fluff, no theory. Something you can actually apply. If you find value here, and if you'd like to help me reach my first 1,000 subscribers, consider hitting that subscribe button. It might be a small click for you, but it means the world to me and helps keep this kind of content coming. Ready? Let's get into it. Everything vibrates. How your words carry energy. Have you ever stopped to think that a single sentence leaving your mouth could alter not just your mood, but the very structure of your brain, the rhythm of your heartbeat, maybe even the behavior of every cell in your body? On the surface, it sounds far-fetched. How could something as intangible as words hold such power? But pause for a moment and look closely at how the universe actually works. Everything vibrates. This isn't poetic metaphor, it's fundamental physics. Quantum theory has long dismantled the idea of solid, static matter. Even the smallest particle is energy, constantly in motion, vibrating at specific frequencies. That means everything you see, touch, or feel, including your body, your thoughts, and yes, your words, is part of a vast, interconnected field of vibrating energy. When you speak, the sound you produce isn't just carried by air. It's a wave, a frequency, interacting with the environment, with the people around you, and crucially, with yourself. But what's more important than the physical wave of sound is the unseen force behind it, the intention, the emotion, the energy encoded in every word. Words are carriers. They transmit not only meaning, but the vibration of your internal state. And science has been catching up to what ancient wisdom traditions have known all along. Consider Dr. Masaru Emoto's well-known experiment. He demonstrated that positive or negative words could reshape the molecular structure of water. Loving words led to stunning, symmetrical crystals. Negative, hateful language resulted in disordered, chaotic formations. Skeptics debated the methodology, but the underlying principle resonated deeply with millions because it aligned with something we intuitively sense. That energy is contagious, that intention matters. Now think about it. Human bodies are over 70% water. If mere words can influence water at a molecular level, what do you think is happening to your cells, tissues, and nervous system when you speak without awareness? Every complaint, every self-criticism, every anxious remark you mutter under your breath, these aren't harmless. You are programming not just your mind, but your entire physical being with the frequency of those words. And this idea doesn't only appear in modern experiments or New Age circles. It's deeply woven into some of the oldest belief systems in human history. In Christianity, the importance of language is made clear right from the very first line of the Gospel. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. Words are not depicted as secondary tools. They are the beginning, the creative source itself. They are the mechanism by which reality takes shape. You'll find similar reverence in Hinduism, where a single syllable, Om, is believed to hold the vibration of the entire universe. Or in Tibetan Buddhism, where monks dedicate hours each day to chanting mantras, aligning their inner state through repetition of sound. None of this is random. These cultures understood something we often forget in modern life. Language isn't just communication. It's energy transmission. It's creation in motion. Even in the lives of innovators and thinkers, you see this awareness play out. Thomas Edison once remarked that his inventions were not purely the product of intellect, but of tuning himself to the vibrations around him. Steve Jobs meticulously crafted each keynote speech, aware that a single phrase, delivered with precision and conviction, could galvanize an entire generation or shatter motivation in seconds. Jobs didn't just share ideas, he transmitted belief. The world responded not to the technical content alone, but to the frequency of confidence, clarity, and vision embedded in his words. But here's the question: what about you? What frequency are your words vibrating at every day? Not just when you're talking to others, but especially when you're talking to yourself. Are you planting seeds of possibility, strength, gratitude? Or are you unknowingly sowing negativity, fear, or doubt on repeat? Every time you utter phrases like, "I can't," "It's too hard," "I'm not enough." Now imagine flipping that. Imagine if, instead of reacting on autopilot, you chose your words the way a craftsman sharpens a blade, intentionally, patiently. What if, before the day pulls you in, you took a moment to tune your inner frequency, not with random affirmations, but with language aligned to the person you want to become? This isn't magic. It's practice. And like any practice, it compounds over time. So pause. Listen closely. What phrases have you been repeating to yourself lately? Are they lifting you or quietly weighing you down? If words hold energy, enough to shape water, shift emotions, and rewrite the chemistry of your body, then it's worth asking, what kind of energy are you letting shape your world? If this idea feels new, stay with me. I'll show you exactly how to start making it part of your life, step by step. Sacred language: how religions knew the secret code of creation. Why are so many major religions in the world obsessed with words, with sound, to the point where followers dedicate their entire lives to chanting a single mantra, repeating it endlessly? This is no coincidence. If you think prayers or mantras are just ritualistic, you're missing something deeper. They're tapping into the core power of words, of vibration and energy. Even in Christianity, the opening line of the Bible makes a bold statement. In the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. They're not referring to everyday human speech. The term logos here implies the creative principle, the foundational structure shaping the entire universe. Words don't just carry information, they carry creation, shaping matter and reality. Don't believe it? Look at another culture, Hinduism, where the sound Om is considered the origin of everything. A single syllable, but they believe it contains the entire vibration of the universe. This isn't just philosophy. Jewish practice shows how strict they are. No one is allowed to casually say the true name of God, YHWH. They believe that pronouncing it correctly activates a metaphysical force. They understand words are tools, but not tools to be used carelessly. It's like holding a switch. Flip it, and a current flows. Use it wrong, and the consequences are unpredictable. In Tibet, you see Buddhist monks sitting for hours, day after day, chanting Om Mani Padme Hum. Many outsiders view this as repetitive devotion, but modern neuroscientists are starting to explain this phenomenon in scientific terms. The repetition of rhythm, sound, and intent creates synchronization between brain waves, heartbeat, and breath, bringing the individual into an optimal state of energy balance. Did you know Elon Musk, someone not tied to any religion, still emphasizes the power of intention combined with words? When he launches Tesla or SpaceX, he's not just presenting products. He carefully selects words, tone, and emphasis to plant in the listener's mind a near-religious belief in the future he envisions. And it's so effective that the world bets on the reality he's constructing. So what's really happening here? Maybe, from Tibetan monks, ancient Jewish practitioners, to minds like Musk, they're all using correctly what most of us unconsciously waste every day: words. And if words are energy, tools that create reality, then the question isn't what am I saying, but rather what am I building or destroying with every word I speak? What do you think? Have you ever stopped to consider at what frequency the sounds you create each day are vibrating? Reprogram your subconscious, the commands you give without knowing. Think about the last time you made a small mistake. Maybe you missed a deadline, forgot something important, or said the wrong thing in a conversation. What was the first thing you told yourself? Was it something like, "I'm such an idiot. I always mess things up"? Or, "Of course, typical me"? Seems harmless, just a fleeting thought. But is it really? Most of us don't pay attention to how we speak to ourselves in these moments. We dismiss it as venting, brushing it off as inconsequential. But in reality, every single one of those sentences operates like lines of code, written directly into your mind's core operating system, your subconscious. Here's the catch. Your subconscious doesn't have a filter. It doesn't fact-check or stop to analyze whether you were just frustrated or joking. It takes everything at face value. You tell yourself, "I can't. I'm not enough. I'll fail." And it quietly logs each statement as a command. Repeat it enough times, and your subconscious begins adjusting your emotions, behaviors, even the micro-decisions you make daily, all to match that underlying belief. It's no different than a programmer feeding lines of code to a machine. The machine doesn't care what you meant, it just runs the script. Neuroscience backs this up. The brain isn't static, it's designed to reinforce patterns based on repetition. Each time you speak negatively about yourself, you strengthen those neural pathways. Over time, they become default settings, harder to break, harder to rewrite. Worse still, the brain starts scanning your environment, filtering information to confirm the very limitations you've unknowingly programmed in. This is why the world's top performers, from Serena Williams to Michael Jordan, are so fiercely intentional with their self-talk. Jordan once said, he refused to let himself entertain phrases like, "I'm not good enough," or "I might lose." He understood. The brain doesn't distinguish between a half-hearted complaint and a serious directive. Each word was another line of code shaping his reality, and he made sure he was writing code that built champions. But here's the flip side. What happens when you do the opposite? When you deliberately start feeding in lines like, "I am capable," "I am enough," "I've got this," even if at first they sound hollow or forced. Neuroscience shows the subconscious still records them. It doesn't require belief upfront. It just requires repetition. Keep at it long enough, and your brain begins rewiring itself, creating new pathways that support confidence, resilience, and better decision-making. Tony Robbins put it simply but powerfully, people don't live according to objective reality. They live according to the story they keep telling themselves. And every day, that story is being written, word by word, thought by thought, whether you're aware of it or not. So, what story have you been scripting lately? Are you feeding your mind lines that lift you up, or ones that quietly box you in? Are the commands running your internal software helping you reach the possibilities in front of you? Or are they limiting you before you even take the first step? How words affect your body. The shocking mind-body connection. Think back to the last time you felt a lump in your throat, even though you weren't sick. A meeting where you wanted to speak up, but stayed silent. A relationship where you bit your tongue instead of expressing dissatisfaction. One swallowed anger, one moment pretending to be fine. That heavy feeling didn't come out of nowhere. It's the result of a complex biological reaction between unspoken words and your physical body. You might think you successfully kept quiet, but your body records every bit of it. Dr. Gabor Maté, who has spent his life studying the connection between emotions and illness, puts it bluntly, the body stores every repressed emotion. Not speaking doesn't mean the feeling disappears. It simply moves into the nervous system, quietly activating defense mechanisms, keeping the sympathetic nervous system on high alert. You don't need to face a wild animal or an immediate danger. A few swallowed words, A few moments of unexpressed anger, and already your cortisol spikes, blood vessels constrict, muscles tighten. If this happens once or twice, your body can recalibrate. But when it becomes a habit, month after month, year after year, the body starts to pay the price. Insomnia, migraines, chronic shoulder tension, even long-term illness. This is no longer theory. fMRI studies have clearly shown that when people are allowed to express emotions honestly, especially through speech, activity in the brain regions controlling pain and stress decreases significantly. In contrast, when they're told to suppress, areas linked to stress responses light up. In other words, speaking isn't just for others to understand you. It's a biological process essential to release, to lower your heart rate, to keep your immune system from burning out. It's fascinating how traditional Eastern medicine and modern science point to the same conclusion, even if the language differs. In traditional Chinese medicine, the throat, the place where speech originates, isn't just an organ. It's directly connected to respiratory health, expression, and overall well-being. Yoga philosophy also centers on the throat chakra, viewing it as the hub of expression, communication, and energy flow. When this chakra is blocked, when you don't dare to voice your truth, the body's entire energy flow is thrown off. People who often suppress their words, their emotions, frequently experience very real symptoms: sore throats, tightness, unexplained neck and shoulder pain. You don't need to believe in energy concepts to see it. Just look at real life. Robin Williams, the icon of laughter, the man who made the world believe he embodied joy, spent most of his life hiding his true emotions. People laughed with him, but few realized he knew loneliness, pain, and suppression better than anyone. In the end, neither his body nor his mind could carry that weight anymore. Religions have long recognized this truth, even without machines to measure it. In Christianity, the ritual of confession isn't merely about forgiveness. It's an act that allows people to voice what they've been holding in, freeing themselves from invisible pressure. In Tibetan Buddhism, chanting mantras isn't empty ritual. When a monk repeats Om Mani Padme Hum thousands of times, they are regulating both their emotions and their body, cleansing inner blockages through sound and continuous expression. People like Oprah Winfrey understand this deeply. Oprah didn't succeed just because of talent or opportunity. She grew up in poverty, suffered abuse, endured countless wounds. But the greatest difference is, she chose to speak her story, again and again, from talk shows to global forums. Telling it, not holding it back, was how she healed. Oprah has openly said that if she hadn't used her voice, those wounds would have long turned into illness, into burdens she couldn't overcome. You don't have to be Oprah, a Tibetan monk, or a patient of Dr. Mate, but you can still ask yourself one simple question. How many times have I swallowed my words, swallowed my anger, told myself it's fine, just to keep the peace, to avoid upsetting others? And after each time, how much tension, how much pressure has quietly settled into my body? Are your shoulders hurting because you sat wrong, or because you've been bracing yourself carrying unspoken weight? Is your throat tight because of the weather, or because something inside still hasn't been released? The body doesn't lie. It will always reflect what you try to hide. How much longer do you think it can carry it all? Is it just woo-woo? The controversial science behind word power. You might wonder, how could a handful of words possibly shift the course of a life? Positive affirmations sound nice in theory, but in reality, life doesn't bend just because you repeat a slogan. That skepticism is valid. If you only view words at the surface level, as harmless sounds drifting past, disappearing as quickly as they're spoken. But pause. Have you ever truly examined how words work? Look closely at how your brain and body react to each sentence you utter. Neuroscience has made one thing clear. The brain isn't just processing language, it's absorbing the emotional charge beneath it. You can say, "I'm fine," with a smile, But if your chest is tight with anxiety, your nervous system still behaves as if something's wrong. Stress hormones flood in, muscles brace. Or you might whisper to yourself, "I'm strong." But if doubt is running in the background, that's the frequency you project. It's not the words alone. It's whether your words, feelings, and actions are in sync. Words are only powerful when they align with the energy behind them. Look at someone like Maya Angelou. She wasn't known for loud, showy speeches. Her power came from the unwavering conviction, laced through every word she spoke and wrote. When she declared, "I am a woman phenomenally. Phenomenal woman. That's me." It wasn't empty poetry. It was lived truth. Her words carried weight because they mirrored the resilience, depth, and unshakable dignity she embodied. Had she spoken without believing, without living that reality, would anyone have felt moved? Probably not. But because her life and language were inseparable, her voice echoed across generations. This is exactly what the law of attraction tries to explain, though often oversimplified. You don't attract what you casually wish for. You attract what you are. You can wake up every morning and repeat, "I am successful." But if you move through the day second-guessing yourself, shrinking at challenges, sabotaging opportunities, then your energy undercuts the words. Words unsupported by belief and behavior are hollow. Even scripture makes this clear. In the Bible, the word is more than sound. It's the source, the engine of creation. But notice, the words spoken aren't left hanging. "Let there be light" wasn't just a declaration. It was followed by purposeful action, system, structure. No contradiction between what was spoken and what was done. Reality unfolded because every element aligned. Or think of Muhammad Ali. His mantra, "I am the greatest," wasn't bravado. He repeated it obsessively, not to convince others, but to program himself. He trained, fought, lived as if it were indisputable truth, long before the world recognized it. His words, his belief, his actions, all welded together. That alignment created outcomes. So yes, doubting the power of words makes sense when you treat words as disconnected fragments. But the real question isn't whether a few sentences can change your life. It's deeper. Are you willing to bring your words, emotions, and actions into such complete alignment that every sentence becomes a reflection of who you are becoming? Because when that alignment clicks, words stop being sound waves. They turn into leverage, into momentum, into something magnetic. So pause. Ask yourself honestly, are you merely speaking, or are you living the reality your words claim to represent? Who controls words, controls reality. The dark truth about media and language. Have you ever wondered why, after just a few minutes of scrolling your phone, turning on the TV, or browsing social media, your mood shifts without knowing exactly why? A news headline about inflation, a cleverly crafted ad subtly reminding you, you're not enough, or familiar phrases like crisis, shortage, risk appearing repeatedly everywhere. This isn't a coincidence. It's strategy, and that strategy operates on the greatest power modern society possesses: control over language. Words aren't just a means of conveying information, they're tools for shaping thought. George Orwell understood this when he wrote 1984. In his world, the government didn't need brute force to control people completely. They only needed to control language. They created Newspeak, a new language engineered to eliminate alternative thinking, to limit dissent right at the level of thought. When language is restricted, thinking becomes restricted. And when thought is controlled, reality no longer belongs to you. Do we think Orwell was only describing a dystopian society? Look around. Financial markets grab attention with headlines like collapse, bubble, instability. Advertising campaigns have evolved. They don't outright tell you, you lack value. They simply evoke a constant sense of not enough, not beautiful enough, not wealthy enough, not safe enough. When those words repeat hundreds of times a day, they become background noise, seeping into your subconscious, rewriting how you see yourself and the world. Edward Bernays, the father of modern PR, is living proof that controlling language means controlling behavior. When he helped tobacco companies break into the female market in the 1920s, he didn't just advertise cigarettes. He skillfully linked smoking to women's liberation, branding cigarettes as torches of freedom. One phrase was enough to shift public attitudes, turning an addictive product into a symbol of equality. Religion understood this long before modern media. In Christianity, the Bible doesn't merely recount stories of faith. It's a system of language, repeated, recited, ingrained into believers' minds. Verses like, "The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear?" aren't just words of comfort. They're tools to reshape emotion, belief, and values for millions. Words repeated long enough become spiritual reality. So the question is, are you actually in control of your own thinking, or are you running on keywords someone else programmed into you? When you feel anxious, inadequate, are those feelings genuine, or are they the result of thousands of carefully chosen words embedded in your mind over the years? Reality at its core isn't fixed. It's the product of perception, and perception is programmed by language. You can see this clearly in every seat of power: politics, religion, modern media. True power isn't about what people own. It's about who controls the words you absorb every day. So, the words you're living by, are they your choice or someone else's? And if you don't take control of them, who will control you? Turn speech into ritual. Daily practices to rewrite your reality. Imagine that every word you speak is a seed planted in the invisible soil around you. Each day, what are you planting? Do you tend to every word you release like a farmer cares for their crops? Or do you scatter them carelessly and then wonder why your life is overrun with weeds? The power of language doesn't lie in the occasional positive phrase you blurt out, but in turning your words into a ritual you consciously design, repeat, and maintain, like a craftsman sharpening a blade, a little each day, until it's razor sharp. The question is, how do you actually apply this without falling into meaningless talk? The first step is observing the vocabulary you use daily. And I'm not talking about checking spelling or grammar. I mean, how are you programming yourself through the familiar phrases you repeat? Do you often say things like, "I'm so tired," "This sucks," "I don't have enough"? These sentences might seem harmless, but each time you say them, you reinforce a negative energy state. Now try shifting them. Instead of, "I'm exhausted," say, "I need to recharge." Instantly, you bring agency back to yourself. Instead of, "I don't have money," try, "Money is flowing toward me." It may feel fake at first, but remember, the subconscious doesn't care if you're sincere or not. It only absorbs what you feed it consistently. The question is, what are you planting? Next, turn this into a personal ritual, just like religions have done for thousands of years. You don't need elaborate ceremonies. Just take a few minutes every morning before you check your phone or emails. Pick a keyword: peace, prosperity, freedom, whatever value you want to cultivate. Close your eyes, breathe deeply, and repeat it slowly, with full feeling, like Tibetan monks chanting mantras or Christians reciting prayers. This isn't just a habit. It's how you recalibrate your frequency before the day begins. Neuroscience shows that repeated habits can rewire neural connections, and words are the simplest tool to hack that system. But don't stop with self-talk. Your words are also energy you send to others. Have you noticed how people who speak consciously always make others feel at ease? Even if they don't use fancy language, they understand that every sentence they utter is part of themselves. When you criticize, judge, or complain, even if directed at others, the negative energy hits you first. That's why in every interaction, with coworkers, family, strangers, start by asking, is what I'm about to say planting something good And here's a skill few pay attention to: silence. Ever notice how truly calm, wise people speak less? It's not because they have nothing to say, but because they know not every thought needs to be voiced. Every sentence costs energy. When unnecessary, silence is the purest way to conserve it. The old saying, speech is silver, silence is golden, isn't about encouraging shyness. It's about understanding that sometimes it's the pause between words that gives language its weight. If you think this is just theory, look at Oprah Winfrey. Oprah isn't just one of the most powerful women in the world. She's living proof that ritualizing language can reshape an entire life. Born into poverty, abused, scarred by countless wounds, she could have easily let her past program her into a permanent victim story. But she didn't. Instead of letting memory dictate her present, Oprah devotes each morning to a simple yet powerful ritual, repeating the words she wants to become. Abundance, gratitude, clarity. She doesn't say them casually. She repeats them until they sink into her bloodstream, her thinking, her worldview. She's acutely aware of every word she speaks on TV. No sentence is careless. She knows that what she says not only impacts her audience, but shapes herself daily. Muhammad Ali was no different. He didn't just stand in front of a mirror chanting, "I am the greatest," for fun. He repeated it every day, every hour, in training, in the ring, like a sacred ritual. He understood that before the world recognized him as a champion, he had to believe it first, live it first, every word, every action, every breath. Imagine if Oprah had spent every day repeating, "I am a victim," or if Ali had stepped into the ring thinking, "I'm weak." Where would they have ended up? No magic changed their lives, except the words they planted for themselves, day after day, until those words stopped being sentences and became who they were. So, what are you planting? Whether you like it or not, the reality around you is mirroring exactly what you repeat in your mind each day. Are you ready to make language a living ritual in your life? And if you start today, what do you think your life will look like in a year? 3 years? 10 years? Your words are writing your destiny. Will you take back control? By now, you are no longer an unconscious victim of words. Not the headlines, not what others say, and not even the old scripts you've been silently repeating in your own mind for years. Every word you speak, every thought you entertain, is a line of code you're writing into your own life. Whether you realize it or not, you are programming your reality, sentence by sentence. Words are not decoration. They are tools of creation. They are not background noise. They are the bricks that build your life. If you find my insights meaningful and valuable, don't hesitate to show your support. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Leave a comment with your thoughts, or simply carry one powerful word with you today. Your engagement isn't just feedback. It's how we keep meaningful conversations alive. Let's choose words that build, not break.